Well, well, well. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. It looks like to me, both Derrick and I, at least I know I'm in my house. God only knows where Derrick is, but I think he's closer to his home. I don't know, my internet was not doing what I wanted to do. It was taking me a little bit longer, and I was talking to my main man, Mr. Christian. Him and I have our 8 o'clock call. And I was reading my mug. Brielle gave me this mug. It says, "Dad, no matter what life throws at you, at least you don't have an ugly daughter." And so that is my cheers to my daughter Brielle, who unfortunately has strep throat. So she had strep throat. Bryce had some sort of sinus infection, and so my little Bryce boy ended up giving me the sinus infection. And so now I also noticed, in case you're wondering, Derrick, just to let everybody know, sinus infections, all, no matter how much you talk to them, they will follow you everywhere. They don't stay in the bed. I try to drop it off at in the shower, but no, the sinus infection has come with me in the car, in the bedroom, like waking up, having a cup of coffee. It just does not want to leave me. But Charles, let me just tell you, bud, I'm ready for it. I am ready for it, though. So good morning, Aunt Muriel. Good morning to you, Cat. Good morning to you, D. Owens. Good morning to you. It is a coaching day for me today. I'm excited. Got a lot of great stuff coming on. And guys, I just get excited. Poor Colin yesterday. Colin hates when there's 5 Wednesdays in a month. He hates it because he gets really confused because in his brain, he's like, I'm the last Wednesday. I'm the last Wednesday. I'm like, no, you're the fourth Wednesday. So him and I were texting back and forth. He goes, I got to learn how to count to four. So him and I have been counting to four these last couple of text messages. So he apologizes. He missed it yesterday. He's like, I'm the last Wednesday. No, you're the fourth Wednesday, which was yesterday. And so we had a good time. So good morning to everybody. Good morning to you all. Shout out to Kevin Jones. Thank you so much, brother, for the book you sent me. I greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate your nice message that you put in the book. I've been blessed and fortunate. I put it on the Facebook page, and I'm sure Derrick gets a lot of these too, where people send you gifts and in of appreciation in how we've helped people and nice messages people send us in the book and their achievement and their goals. And so maybe there's something that you got out there. Maybe there's a goal or a success or something that you're trying to get at. Reach out to these leaders that are on here. They will help you push you to whatever your goal is, as well as a lot of us on here do have books. We are authors, and find out what book they have. Talk to them. Ask who's got a book on here that I can go purchase. Who's got a book to support them. And most of the books, all, I haven't seen a book over $100. Most of the books are less than $30 all, because we're not retiring off of, like, this is not going to pay for my retirement. Brielle, sorry, it's not going to pay for it. But what it does, it engages and you get to hear our voice. Anyways, besides all that, I just saw Kevin, so I want to give a shout out to him. So good morning, everybody. My name's Coach Brock Zevan, life coach, business coach, real estate coach, and a DAD. And my main man, he's got the heart of a waffle on his shirt. It just gets me all warm and fuzzy and hungry all at the same time. Derrick, what up,
Good
brother?
morning, brother. And good morning to all you beautiful people. Love seeing all the smiling faces on here, Brock. This is
It's
awesome,
nice.
man. My team decided to design these different shirts. They came up with this whole new thing for waffles and whatnot, man. Brother, I'm impressed with this team that I have, and I owe you a thanks because you were the person that brought the first person onto there, which is my assistant Laura. So thank you. And then dominoes just started falling after that, but
It
it's a
is
beautiful
funny how
thing,
that
man.
all happens because Jay was when we say first, all our virtual assistants and
It's
the
funny that our brains went to the same place at the same time, Justin.
yeah. I was like, I better get some clarity for everybody on here as Rebecca's like laughing over there, and I'm just like,
Her brain went there too.
yeah. I was like, for clarity purposes, we're talking about virtual assistants, all virtual assistants, and so yeah, I've had Jay, and then people always say like, what do your virtual assistants do? I'm like, I want like 20 virtual assistants. Like they're just amazing, amazing human beings with so like a phenomenal work ethic, just brilliant minded people, loving people, loyal people. And they've transformed my life as much as they've transformed yours. So I'm glad that we were able to be that catapult to help you grow your business at the level it's going at, because it's pretty. I've been enjoying watching all your Facebook stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The team is working hard on that.
They are.
You know, man, that's actually one of the things that people keep complimenting me on everywhere I go. They're finding me everywhere now, social media, and that just demonstrates again the power of a team.
Hmm.
Many years ago, when I was invited to Facebook, and Facebook was the one who taught me that I was one of the most competent or accomplished organic marketers on the planet. This was back in 2017 when they brought me down there. They brought me down 5 times, bro. 5 times I've got to sit at a table with someone at the levels of a Zuckerberg or a Sheryl Sandberg or others like this. But anyway, back then, man, if I would have had this team that I have now, dude, where would I be? That was back in 2017 when waffles and whatnot was the number one trending waffle topic in the United States, even though I didn't
Wow.
have a restaurant yet. But anyway, the power of this team is a beautiful thing. Brother, this has been a week, and what I find myself doing week to week is asking myself, what did I learn this week? Like, what life lesson can I come back and share? So, if y'all will just indulge me for a second, because there have been some rough patches this year, and I just want to share some lessons with you guys that I've learned.
Wait a minute, you get those too? You get rough patches too? I didn't know. I thought.
Brother, no, hell no. I'm Derrick Green. My life is just smooth as cream cheese. I'm good. It's everybody else. Hey,
Right.
listen, this thing that you're talking about, man, is just like there is not a you're talking about people that have books. And the thought that came into my mind is that, thank you, Louis. That the thing that came into my mind is that, you know what? It's not only that we have books, Brock, is that we have the story and the experiences of writing those books. We have experienced the same fears, the same anxieties, the same apprehensions, the ebbs and the flows of life. Life has kicked us in the teeth. Some of us have been great at procrastinating and can talk about that. Some of us have been great at being disciplined, and some of us have been like masters at being undisciplined as well. And that's
Mhm.
the whole thing about having one of these coaches or mentors, as you're talking about. And every great person that I know, every great coach that I know, without fail, has a mentor. Everyone. I met with mine yesterday, and sometimes there's that good it's a good way to say this. I guess a come to Jesus moment. That's the best way I can think of it. Because you know what? When you've empowered a coach or a mentor to shoot straight with you, give you the no BS version, they begin to act essentially as a mirror. Now, are they without flaws? Can you enter the meeting and go, well, you're not Jesus, you can't tell me what to do? No. In my experience, no, can't do that. The coach or the mentor is also going to have flaws because they're human. That doesn't mean that their impact or their words or their wisdom is any less meaningful for your life. Right. So I just want to clarify that, man. Yes, we all have books, and every one of you who's afraid to reach out to us to ask about the books or how to write the book, how to get started, how to publish the book, all of those. It's like reach out because we've been where you are already. In every stage of your journey, we've already been there. So reach out to a coach or a mentor and let them do their thing. That's why they're a coach or a mentor. It brings value, adds value to their life, to their feeling of purpose, which, again, like Stephen Covey's Eighth Habit of Highly Effective People, find your voice and help others find theirs. Find your purpose and help others find theirs. All right. So I just want to throw that out there. Something else learned this week, Brock, is just a lesson that needed to be retaught or I needed to revisit again. So there's this framework that I use in the Sauce of Life, and it's called the seed. And some of you have seen before Bob Proctor's borrowed use of an illustration of the human mind. And it's a circle with a line through it. The circle at the top represents your conscious mind. It represents your thoughts. It represents the things that you think about on a daily basis. It represents the inputs, what's coming into your brain at the top level, right? Let's cut it off at your eyes. What's coming into your brain? At the conscious level, what are you thinking about on a daily basis? At the bottom of that line is the subconscious. The subconscious has zero ability to affect what comes into it. The subconscious's job is just to make the thing that you want. You can think of your subconscious like ChatGPT or Google, Yahoo, for those of y'all that are old school, or Ask, or one of those. I don't know, trying to think way back to make Christian happy, like AOL. All right, trying to make the computer people happy. Think of your subconscious like a ChatGPT. It has access to so much more than you can remember at any given point in time. But it is only going to give you the results that you're putting in. It is only going to give you a response to the prompts that you're putting in. Your subconscious can give you anything. It can deliver the answer to you. When you're praying or you're meditating and you're going deep, when you're talking about going deep within yourself, you're trying to access the subconscious because that's where this memory bank is. That's where this storage unit is. That's where access to the higher frequencies exist. Again, it only brings you what you prompted. It can only reply to you what you prompt. So you have to learn to ask better prompts. If any of you have used Google or you use a chat GPT, by the way, it's weird if you've used Google, but you refuse to use a chat GPT. It's kind of weird. But anyway, let me just, sorry, sidebar. Uh, anyway, if you've ever used those, you're only going to get results based on the question that you ask. So learn how to ask better questions. In between those things is this line, conscious up top, subconscious at the bottom. There's a line. That line represents the one way, the most effective way for something to drop into your subconscious. And as I've explained before, those of y'all that have read Bob Proctor and familiar with his work, that line are your feelings, your feelings. So something comes into your conscious. There's a feeling associated with that thing. And the stronger the feeling is, the greater chance that the feelings will just open the trap door, and whatever you were thinking falls right into your subconscious mind. I call that a seed. Up top, you have these seeds that are constantly being put into your mind. Think of it like if you go into a feed store or a farm supply store. There's all of these seeds that you have access to, right? But it's not until something happens that those seeds fall into the ground of your subconscious mind that has no ability to control what it produces. It will just produce everything on anything that you ask of it. Now, those seeds, that's what I want to talk about, Brock. So when you have that, you can have a seed that gets planted. Let's call it an acorn. This acorn falls into your subconscious mind. Every single time for the rest of your days, you have something that is in alignment with the original event that caused the feeling that you have. It triggers something, it opens the feelings back up, and something drops down. It's the water, it's the fertilizer, it's the sunshine. It's something that helps the seed that is in your subconscious mind be planted. It's something that strengthens it. So the original event I call an influencing event, an IE, an influencing event. So there's something that happened. You were called dumb as a child the first time, and that made you have hurt feelings. You may have had a tear because you respected this person that called you dumb. It may have been your dad, your mom. It may have been a teacher or another authority figure. It may be a young Rebecca Black when you came up to her and she still thought boys had cooties and you gave her that note, do you like me, yes or no? And she's like, ew, you're ugly. Right? So I told you I was gonna bust you out for that, Rebecca. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but with that, that original seed was planted. Now, what you experienced there was rejection. You were vulnerable enough to approach the pretty girl in class or to approach your dad or your mom. And in that vulnerability or that vulnerable state, what you received was a rejection. So they rejected you, and that seed was dropped into the subconscious. Now, every time for the rest of your days, subconsciously, as you receive a new rejection, there's a feeling that gets triggered. That door opens up and some water is added, some fertilizer is added. There's somebody pulling the weeds and tilling the soil around you. And that seed begins to grow. It turns into a baby tree, a little sapling, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Now, all of us, every single person you'll ever meet in your life, has an entire forest planted in their subconscious. But the seed, every tree you ever see began as a seed. Even if it's been cut, sliced, planted back into the ground, and growed its roots, the original tree, if you go back to it, began as a seed. So, what are these seeds? This is this is critical for your life, good people. Critical for your life. If you want your life to change, whatever capacity it is, if you're stuck right now trying to figure out how to move forward from whatever this thing is that you have to go back and find the seed that was originally planted. If you feel that you are incompetent and nothing can change that, you keep sabotaging yourself because of what you feel inside, there's an original seed that you have to go back and find. If you feel that you're ugly, although everyone around you keeps telling you that you're beautiful, no matter how many layers of makeup you put on, no matter how you do your hair or what dress you put on, what photographers are like, oh my God, girl, work it, work it, work it. Or in the case of Kevin, this photographer dude is just like, dude, representation of a man. Look at that right there. Boom, hit that pose for me. Right? Jade is out there doing his Heisman. Whatever these things are, if you don't feel or you do feel, whatever it is, there's a seed planted, an original seed planted. Now, why do I keep going back to the seed? Because many of us, and not many of us, every single one of us are controlled by the seeds, by the forest that's inside of us. But not everybody understands to go back and try to discover what the original thing planted in you is so that you can then do this. First thing, S, the S in seed, you need to search for the limiting belief. Search for the limiting belief. And what you're searching for is truth. You're trying to get back to the original seed so you can look at it and understand what was planted. So, in the earlier example that I said, where Rebecca probably would have rejected me in grade school when I sent her the note, I can look at that and say, she called me ugly, but is that the original thing that was planted inside of me? Or is it that, oh my God, I was vulnerable and got rejected? And then I go to my dad later and I tell my dad something sensitive. I was vulnerable and I got rejected. He says, oh, you're an idiot. I was trying to ride my bike or something. I was vulnerable enough to get out there and got made fun of every time I fell, or got made fun of. People didn't want to play with me or do whatever. I was vulnerable and I got rejected. So every single time that I'm vulnerable and I get rejected, it further fertilizes the original seed that was planted. With that being said, there are certain triggers that can happen, and you can find yourself in an emotional state where there are times where someone can say something to you, and you can begin flipping back the pages, and you can remember that there was a girlfriend in high school that said this thing to you, and it hurts your feelings. Like it made you feel like this. Sometimes you'll even catch yourself saying to somebody, you know what, when you say that, it makes me feel like this, right? So that's how you know you're getting back to the original seeds. The second thing is you need to elevate the root cause. You need to raise that thing up. So now I'm looking at the seed, but I want to hold that thing. I want to look at it. I want to analyze it. I want to elevate it. I want to raise it up because I truly want to understand the roots of this thing. Is this something that spreads out, shallow but wide? Or is this something that digs down very deep in my psyche that I may actually need professional help to help me get it out of there? That part, the second E in there is examining. So you want to search for it, you want to elevate it, and then you want to truly examine it, understand the seed. You want to know the difference between a pinto bean and a lima bean. Yes, they're both beans, but they'll never produce the other. You want to know if it's an apple or if it's a lemon. Sure, they can look the same. Sure, they're both citrus fruit. Yeah, they have the outer skin and a little white layer in between and the flesh in the middle, but they're not the same thing, right? So with one of them, you can make orange juices and marmalades and candies and all these other things. And the other one, you can do your lemonades, or you can even cook fish with it just by slicing up the fish and squeezing some lemon on there and letting it sit for a few minutes, right? They're different things. So you truly want to examine how it's grown and elevating it and understanding what it is. And you're doing all of that because you've decided to replant something different. You've decided to change this thought pattern. And this is something that is incredibly important for every single one of you who want to change your life. If you want to change your life and you want to move forward, that word, decision. So many people are still where they are because they haven't made a decision to change and they haven't committed to the decision to change. How many of you, without a show on your hands, have this thing that you complain about, just like the dog that sits on the rusty nail, howling and hooting because this nail is like digging into its side, but the dog has not made a decision to change. It hasn't made a decision to get up. Hear it clearly. I didn't say you have to know how to get up. I didn't say you have to know how to dig the things out of your mind. I didn't say you have to know how to make the money that you're trying to make per year. I didn't say you have to know how to hit your fitness goals. I didn't say you have to know how to study for this real estate exam or whatever this thing is that you're so apprehensive about. I said you have to make the decision first. And after you make the decision, life just starts to bring in some of the resources that you need to change your life. But you have to understand, again, the seeds. Search for it, examine it, elevate it, make the decision, right? Get to the seeds in your life. With that being said, what happens is once you start identifying the seeds, people, you begin to understand how your brain works. You begin to understand why you do the things that you do. You begin to understand why, when this person looks at you a certain way, it triggers something in you, whether that's like a, hey, or whether that's like a, who are you talking to, right? Every single one of us has somebody in our life that can look at us a certain way. And you're either like turning on some music and turn off the lights and light it, or they look at you another way and you're looking for a baseball bat or something like you, like that. Brock, you remember back in high school? I know you were like this, Brock. I can see it, man. Where you're just like, you want to go? Let's go. Ripping off your shirt. Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm just messing with you, man. But it's one thing to have that reaction. It's another thing to be conscious of why you're having that reaction. This is where you're getting to be able to control your life. When you can remain conscious of why you do the things that you do, you can begin to truly understand your triggers. What are the things that cause you to think about that thing that may have happened to you as a 5-year-old kid? that causes you to have the reaction of a 5-year-old kid and causes your spouse to look at you and go, "You're acting like a damn kid. Why don't you grow up? You're so immature." Find the seeds. That's what I wanted to talk about, Brock. Finding them seeds. And by the way, I am hurt that Rebecca's twin, whatever her name was back in grade school, rejected me.
I know, I could see Rebecca rejecting, hurting a lot of boys' feelings.
No, y'all, I was kind of mean as a kid. Not really mean, but remember, like, so, well, I had my first injury in first grade and then my second one in third grade. So I was always like the injured child. So the perception that all these people were knocking on my door is not there.
They're giving you
Your
flowers and
seed is telling
crutches.
you a lie.
It's funny.
Well, I appreciate your input. Go ahead, Brock. Sorry.
No, you're good. As always, I like to show my notes here that I no matter who speaks, and that's why I love Kevin Jones on what he's got freaking cards and cards and cards of notes. Look at his notes too. And
Boom.
I wrote down these couple things here. I wrote down in the beginning, you said about your subconscious mind. And Christian brought up something really good yesterday about how Tony Robbins, he was out walking the sidewalks, and a poor guy came up to him and said, "Do you have a quarter?" And he inside his wad of cash, he had a couple of quarters inside of it, and he gives him a quarter. And it kind of is like thinking, like, the poor guy be like, you know, raise your ask. Like,
Yep.
ask better asks, because you could have gotten maybe $100 from Tony Robbins if you asked him for $100, but you only asked for a quarter. So when I wrote down ask better asks, some of us are limiting our asks. Some of us are just asking for gas money. Like, I just have enough money to pay my gas tank. Why don't you ask to have enough money to go buy a car outright? Why don't you ask for something to even give somebody a car? Because there's people out there who are giving cars away because they want benevolence. They want to help other people. So, and I liked how you put influencing event, and I put next to event seeds, influencing these seeds. How are you influencing your seed? How are you watering your seed? Because watering could be negatively or it could be positively, depending on what you're searching for, which made me wrote down this. This is one of my favorite lines, because I catch myself doing this too when I'm making decisions, is previous experiences make today's decisions. And so usually my knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, I don't want to do that. But why don't I want to do that? What is making me not want to go down this path? And because I've been broke, I'm very protective of, like, I'm nervous about spending money sometimes, because I'm like, oh God, I don't want to be broke again. I don't want to be broke again. But there's time periods where you do need to spend that money. You need to spend the money on a coach. You do spend the money on a mentor. You need to go across the country to go to that event, to get around that networking. Many of us on here might be nervous to spend $2,000. You got $500 for a ticket, $700 to come down to Key West, and then I'm going to spend food. It's going to be about $2,000. And some people might be nervous to spend the $2,000, but I've realized I'm more nervous not to go, to not see people, because that's more of an expense than anything else, is not being in those rooms. So those were my main things that I really wrote down. And in finding your truth, the search of really finding your truth, your limiting belief is a huge component. I'll end it on this. During my water well testing that I did up in the mountains, or I was sharing with everybody, I think Monday, or I don't know what day it was, but maybe yesterday. Oh, the snake yesterday and all that stuff. But this well that we had to go in, there's the motor that's at the bottom of this thing, and there's this big tube, 6-inch PVC pipe that goes all the way to the ground. And there's 5 guys just sitting around this tube, and the water's going out. And I'm kind of like, my brain gets like, they're probably just all, I don't know what they're thinking, but in my brain, it's just like, What's in that tube? How long has that tube been there? How far down do they got to go? When did you learn this? Like, why did you learn this? What made you get into water testing? What made you get to this motor? What is this? Like, all these weird questions come inside of my brain. And I'm just like, why don't I just look at the nature? Why don't I just reflect and see what it is? But the point I was getting at is like wanting to find the real truth behind this well. Finding the truth. How far down is this? And some of us, you're going to get to a point like, how far back do I want to go? How far back in my life do I really want to go to learn about my true self? How far, how many peels of the layers of the onion do I really want to go, even though I'm crying inside and I barely can see and my eyes are burning? Do I want to go back one more layer? Because I think once you get there, for every person who's cut an onion, I'm pretty sure you stop crying. I'm pretty sure your eyes eventually dried out and you were able to move forward. So that's my 2 cents, brother. You close us down for our main man, Kevin Jones, tomorrow for Figured Out Friday. You end us out, Derrick.
Hey, I thank you, brother. I appreciate you as always. I want everybody to know that I'm picking on Rebecca Black because I know she can handle it. I know she's already has done and is doing the deep work that's required. But I want to point something out to you as I close this thing out. Because I kept picking on her and talking about her writing this note to me or the hearts of the young boys that she's broke, it caused in her a trigger to think, you know what? In the first grade, I was injured. And then in the third grade, I was injured. And so I wasn't this person that you identified me as, Derrick. There's something there. See, there's a trigger. When you identify a trigger, when you can observe a trigger, understand that there's a seed behind that trigger. Search for the seeds, go back, and then you start to gain control of your life. I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have an F3 type day, as Jada says. Make sure you get Brielle to school. Y'all have beautiful day, y'all. Talk to you later.